Hello friends, welcome to Disha. We are powered by the Sharat Chandra IAS Academy. In this series, we are talking about various subjects related to India. Today, we'll be talking about the economy of India. So, we'll be discussing and having an overview so that in future, if you study the economy of India, you have a basic outline in your mind how to study it. Okay, so let's start with the economy itself. So, what is economy? All right, economy deals with the, just a second, economy deals with the production and consumption of goods. Consumption of goods. Okay, so economy is basically the process, the study of the project production and the consumption of goods. Some people think that economy means money. Economy means money. So economy does not actually mean money. Economy can exist without money also. All right, money is not necessary for economy to exist. You can just directly have a barter system without the money, and it will still be called an economy. All right, so economy needs what? Production and the consumption of goods. If you are not producing anything, if you are not consuming anything, there will be no economy. Assume you are on moon, you are on Mars. Okay, you do not have agriculture there, you have no goods there to produce, and nobody can consume anything. So we can say safely that there is no economy on moon. We have no economy on moon. All right, all right. So what's is to be seen further? What is to be seen further? We come to the basic concepts such as the GDP, gross domestic production. So in the beginning we dealt that production is necessary for economy to exist. So what we are saying, gross domestic product. So the total value, you're talking about the value, you're not talking about the quantity, you're not talking about the quantity, we're not talking about the quality, we're talking about the value of all goods and services, of all goods as well as services. Please note down the services. All right, so GDP also includes the services produced within a country's borders. Borders means geographical region. All right, in a specific time period. That means if I am working in Australia, then whatever I produce will be added in the GDP of Australia, not in the GDP of India. Okay, so please have this concept very clear. Next, we come to the GNP. This is also a basic fundamental concept you must know. Gross national product. Okay, what is this? So GDP plus income. GDP plus income. GDP plus income. Now, which income? Income earned by the residents of the country, by the residents of the country, those who are residing in the country, from investments in the foreign markets, let's say, minus income. Now we will have to subtract also the other people living in our country earning from our market. Okay, so minus income earned by foreigners, income earned by foreigners in the domestic market. Okay, so it is also another matter of counting the or seeing the economy, the scale of economy. Mostly we rely on the GDP. Okay, now we talk about another very important thing known as the economic sectors or the sectorial distribution of our economy. So we have three sectors. We have three sectors. We have primary sector, we have secondary sector, we have tertiary sector. So primary sector is mostly engaged with the production of the goods itself in the raw format, which is agriculture, all right, forestry, then we have fishing, then we have mining. Okay, so we have these sectors in the primary sector, and these are very critical for India's rural population. From primary, the sectors produced, the goods produced go to the secondary sector. We have manufacturing and industry here. Okay, whatever, let's say the cotton is coming from here, and if a shirt is being produced, then it is the secondary sector, the value added sector. And now the shirt is being sold in a retail store in a mall, then that is the tertiary sector, the people selling the shirts. All right, so it is mostly like IT, finance, education, healthcare, or whatever is sold ultimately to the customer. Okay, next we talk about how we plan the economy. How we plan the economy, the planning. This is also very important. So in planning, we have 5-year plans. So earlier we had 5-year plans. Okay, now we have Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog. This was established in 2015. So it replaced the planning commission which was doing the 5-year plans. All right. Then we have some economic reforms. Economic reforms. So as we talked in the history lecture also, as India became independent from the British in 1947, earlier everything was more controlled by the government itself. Okay, Indian government itself. Later on, we had the liberalization in 1991 economic reforms. Okay, liberalization, privatization, and globalization policies, LPG policies. All right, it transformed the Indian economy from a closed economy to a more open and market-oriented economy. Then we talk about one very important thing, which is serving as a, let's say, blood to the economy, external blood. That is FDI. Okay, foreign direct investment. So what is this FDI? Policies which encourage foreign investors. Let's say Facebook. So Facebook invested in Reliance, all right, or Meta invested in Reliance. So that is FDI for our country. Most of the FDI comes from countries like Singapore and so on. Okay, next we see what is the authority, what is the let's say regulating authority in our country. So that is RBI. And what does RBI do? RBI makes a monetary policy, okay, which controls the money or money supply in the market. Okay, next let us talk about RBI itself. So RBI is the central bank. RBI is the central bank of India, or the bank of the banks. Bank of the banks. So there are multiple banks in India, but RBI supplies as the bank of the banks. It controls the money market in India completely. And it has multiple different methods to do that, such as CRR, SLR, repo rate. Okay. And both repo rate and reverse repo rate are very important for the monetary policy. Repo rate and reverse repo rate is basically the percentage amount on which the RBI lends money to the bank and takes money from the bank as a loan. Alright, so RBI does many open market operations as well, such as bonds and securities. So you can read about those as well. Alright, next we come to the fiscal policy of India. We dealt with the monetary policy of India with the RBI. Now we are dealing with the fiscal policy of India. So when we come to the fiscal policy, it is controlled mostly by the government. Mostly by the government. And it is dealing with the government revenue and expenditure. Government revenue and expenditure. So it deals mostly with the tax, because tax is the way by which the government earn its revenue. All right. So the budget outlines the government's revenue sources, tax, disinvestment, and expenditure such as infrastructure and subsidies. So where the government is spending its money, whether in the building of infrastructure for the for the public, or in the subsidies. Let's say something is coming for 100 rupees and government is making it available for you in 50 rupees, then 50 rupees is being borne by the government. This is known as the subsidy. All right, so this is the fiscal policy. Under fiscal policy we have different measures such as fiscal deficit also. Okay, that basically tells that how much government is in the loss. So that is fiscal deficit. This is the difference between the government revenue and expenditure. Let's say the revenue is 80 and the expenditure is 100. Okay, so government is in fiscal deficit of 20. This is bad for the government. Okay, this is borrowed. This is financed by the borrowing. Next, we come to a very important topic known as the taxation system. Taxation system. So government takes tax on everything so that it can earn some revenue. In Hindi, it is known as kar. Okay, there are two types of taxes. They are indirect tax and direct tax. Indirect tax and direct tax. Direct tax are given directly to the government. Okay, like income tax, corporate tax, and such. Income tax is very major in this format. And there are indirect tax such as the GST. GST is the most or the biggest indirect tax in the country. Okay. Next, we talk about the poverty and unemployment in the economy. So, poverty and unemployment and the economic inequality we have already discussed in the major issues faced by India. These are poverty, unemployment, as well as the economic inequality in equality. Okay, so in this context we can talk about the poverty elevation programs such as the Manrega and all. Okay, ninth topic is very important. Again, it is known as the inflation. Inflation means the increment in the prices of things, okay, year by year, basically. So that is known as the inflation. And there are two three types of inflation, such as the demand pull inflation. When the demand of something rises, the prices rise. That is known as the demand pull inflation. There is also a supply lag inflation, or supply side. So when supply decreases, the prices increase, and that creates an supply side inflation. All right, and this is controlled by the RBI. This is controlled by the RBI by its monetary policies. Okay, next, lastly is our international economy, international trade and balance of payment. International, that means we are talking here about the exports and imports of services and goods. So India is trying to be self-reliant and also trying to become a tertiary sector focused economy so that we can export most of our services. So India is already very high in exporting the software and IT services. So that is all we can focus on. Okay, other things are, let's say, microfinance and the different various schemes for the public. So you can read about them also, such as the Mudra loans, the M-Pesa scheme. Okay, so these are also of importance for you. Lastly, in recent time, we can talk about the COVID impact on economy and the economic recovery. Economic recovery. We can also compare our economy to various different countries, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, especially to our neighbors, okay, and see how India is faring in context of those countries. So these are the major topics for economy you should read about when you read about Indian economy. Thank you very much for your presence in this lecture. If you have any doubts or comments, you can let me know in the feedback, the comment section, and I'll be very happy to help you. See you in the next lecture.